I've now got James in the studio. Just bring him on. Hi, James. How you going, pal?
I'm all right, but I just realised my camera's been really weird. I'm in night vision for some reason.
I know.
Oh,
I was thinking that.
going on
yeah,
here?
I thought you were in a disco.
No, don't know what's going on here. Bloody hell. Yeah, I'm all right. Just talk through it. I'll try to fix it as we go along.
Yeah, no worries, pal.
Yeah.
So, how are you coping? How have you been?
Yeah, all right. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm one of the fortunate people who still works, but I'm working from home. There we go. I
Yeah,
do work from home, so which is, I suppose, has its own difficulties. I'm stuck in this room that I'm in at the moment, so it's a challenge, let's say, but I suppose it'll all be worth it, hopefully.
yeah. Just give the viewers a background. Standard 442 went to a midweek game at Huddersfield. James is the car park captain. He kindly let me into the ground, and we had quite a fun chat over the course of the
You
game.
me, yeah,
But yeah, it's good to have you back on. Glad you're doing well.
yeah,
Um, I know you work in Leeds. What support
yeah.
Huddersfield? I'm sure you get bantered for that.
No, I am constantly, yes, just non-stop. They've got to have their moment in the sun.
Aye. So yeah, what to make of the current situation? Do you think the football can return? Do you think we
I,
can go
I
back
think, I
to
think
normal?
I don't think it'll go back to normal, if I'm honest. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if they let any fans into football for the rest of the season, which I'm all about. I'm for because I just want football back. If I'm honest, it's a weird thing. It's not like a at the end of a season. I mean, you go a couple of months without football then, but there's just something different about this. I think it will end up being played behind closed doors. I'll be surprised, however, if League One and Two don't void their seasons or don't end their seasons at least. I can't see them going back to it because I don't think they can afford to not have the fans in the grounds. It's their main source of income revenue. Depending on what kind of TV package gets agreed for them, as well as they're going to start showing games behind closed doors on a Saturday, etc. What kind of income is that going to generate? Is it going to be worth it? I mean, I think the Championship will probably, as much as it's a do or die kind of league. I mean, clubs will make themselves bust to get to the promised land. I think they're still in a better financial position to go without fans. Just for the, I mean, what is it like 9 games that are left? You could play that over 3 weeks, 2 games a week. That's kind of how I see it. I think they'll finish. I think we'll see an end to the leagues. I don't think as much again as Huddersfield Town fan, obviously the Leeds are up at the top there. To void the season would be unfair, and it does pain me to say that it would be unfair. I know, like the Dutch league have just voided their season,
Yeah, yeah,
and again, it's such a surprising thing that I know we're in unprecedented times, and I get that, but it's still surprising because there's still the capacity to be able to play games behind closed doors. I get the movement, because there's still going to be a lot of people involved in this, and it's hard to maintain the social distance and stuff. But I'd be surprised if we didn't see the end to our top two
yeah.
leagues anyway.
Yeah, I think the Dutch government have suspended all social events until the
Mm.
1st of September, and that's why the Dutch league have gone right. We'll cancel our league then. Um,
Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame, isn't it? But I guess
yeah,
because I think there's financial implications that it has on the league below. Is again, it doesn't. It's not something that comes cheap. Gaining promotion, you have to spend for the most part a lot of money
yeah,
to get promotion. And uh, there's no financial compensation for this for these clubs that have blown the brains out trying to get to where they are, and quite rightly in the most cases that they deserve to be where they are. And to go another season without top level football,
mm,
or up at least another league where they get a better income, how detrimental is that going to be? And I think it's a very interesting thing, and I wonder, kind of from a very boring legal standpoint, if they've got a leg to stand on in that sense, because you cost it. It's football's not a cheap game, is it? Let's be honest.
No, I mean, for the for our English FA to take the Dutch league standpoint on it, I've got the view of there's too much money in football,
Yeah.
and it's just I just can't see it happening, to be honest.
But whose fault's that? That's the fault of the Premier League and what's going on there. And kind of like you say, at the end of every season, you've got the £180 million game, which is obscene, to be quite frank. And I know firsthand from that, I've been a Huddersfield fan.
Yeah.
I know what 180 million games like, and I know what it means, and what it means once you've been relegated as well. It's supposed to be life changing, but you get clubs that look at Sunderland, look at Portsmouth, clubs like that who've just destroyed themselves because they've been trying to get back. I mean, Sheffield United, I think, were incredible in getting back to where they were from League One, which is one of the worst leagues to be in. To be quite honest, it's a horrendous league to get out of. But to put that much finance, Wolves, I think, only got back to the Premier League because of the backing that they had, and the amount of money they were able to sink into it. So there is too much money in football, and it's going to be the death of a lot of clubs. I mean, look at Bury, Macclesfield beyond that way, as well, unfortunately. But that raises another point. If the league gets voided, as if nothing ever happened, do Bury just come straight back into it next season? Where do they stand on that? Because if the season never happened, they wouldn't have gone bust. So it's kind of there's so many. I think there's too much legal implication in not concluding the leagues. I know they're getting pushback from the National League already because anything below the conference, they've just gone, you don't. It's the death of clubs, is that because they require, they spent so much money, they needed an end product.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, money doesn't trickle down in our FA. Unfortunately, it's not.
And obviously, you got Newcastle getting bought by Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? And it's.
It's a human rights thing in itself, isn't it? But I mean, they've double the money Man City, haven't it?
Yeah.
In theory, and you kind of think, well, I mean, it's long been known like the Premier League is a rich man's plaything. It's Sheikh Mansour and all of those. They kind of, I can't. I can't see their kind of connection to it. Like Roman Abramovich clearly doesn't have a connection to Chelsea, and I will maintain that forever. The amount of managers that they go through, there's no desire there. It's all about how are they producing financially, where they're finishing in the league. It's all about money. And I get that it's a business, but it kind of takes away from the football. Yeah. And I think that kind of jaded me when we were in the Premier League. You come across that kind of thing.
I mean, in 5 or 10 years' time, are we in danger of that jump between Championship and Premier League? Is it going to be too big? A like football team is going to put their status on the line just to try and get to the promised land. I mean, are we in that temperature?
Yeah, they will. I genuinely think they always will do. I think everyone will always put themselves on the line. It's how you deal with that. It's how you manage to be, how you deal with it when you get there. I think there's so much of a gulf between quite possibly the top 6 in the Premier League to everybody else. And I would absolutely hate for them to have some sort of Super League, whatever it is, with the top teams. And, you've got the Champions League, fair enough, but to have them cut away, it just takes away from it. But there is such a gulf in the Premier League itself. I mean, you could quite happily live in the Premier League as a bottom side. I mean, no disrespect to people, but teams like Burnley, Southampton that just get by, etc. They've got it right. They're in Bournemouth. They kind of got the model right. They're living within the means, but you've got to break your neck to get there first, and that could be catastrophic for a club because you can spend all that money and not do it, and then fail. I dread to think where we'll be in 10 years with football, because financial fair play is not working. Yes, they may have tried to make the biggest statement in the world with Man City. They'll find a legal way out of it. I have no doubt about it. I mean, it's an interesting thing, but it's not enforced. It's not enforced, but it's difficult. But I think you're getting more of a knock-on effect of that now in the Championship, because I think, look at it, like Birmingham have been transfer embargo. Derby are probably going to get some sort of fine for what their behaviours have been, etc. So I think there's going to be a bit more caution within the Championship rather than the Premier League, if I'm honest. But I still think there'll be ways and means people will find to squeeze that extra bit of money to blow on overrated players.
From a Huddersfield perspective, you're not in a bad place at the minute. I mean, obviously, you're only 2 points. Well, I mean, I reckon if the season restarts, I reckon you'll be fine. I think you'll stay up. But
I'd like to think so. I think that's in no short part to the miracle that the Cowleys have actually done. The January transfer window was one of the best windows I've seen in years, and absolute years. We strengthened where we needed to strengthen. We brought some good players in, some very exciting players. It's actually a genuine shame that we don't get to see them. Players like Emile Smith-Rowe, a youngster from Arsenal. He's very much so a talent, very much so an exciting talent, and it's not unusual for us, for Huddersfield, to actually have these players before they go on to be massive. It was only a couple of seasons ago that we had Ben Chilwell. We had Martin Robinson, fullback at Crystal Palace. Aaron Moy. It's great to see these players, but the way that they've actually looked at what we needed and what we strengthened,
Aaron Moy, you got a City, by the way. Just letting you know, just saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, how many games did he play for City?
Yeah. But we never did.
You
played in Australia in our sister team.
I'm sure I can't remember if he won in Australia or if it must have been because you got him from Sydney or whatever, that Melbourne, into your sister club over there. He spent most of his career playing in Scotland, in fairness, But you could see that again. He's just a player that when you can. I'd say he's very much so. Emile Smith-Rowe is a kind of a next level Aaron Moy, because Aaron Moy was very good. You could see that when he played, he had the eye for the pass, etc. Smith-Rowe's got a drive. I don't think I've ever seen him misplace a pass, and it's unbelievable that even in a cramped space, he just has the time to be able to breathe, look up, and he's always going forward. He's turning and he's going forward, and it's just something else. It's just really. It's really small things that you notice, but I mean, like I said, it's not just Smith-Rowe, it's Chris Willock that they've brought in on loan from Benfica, ex-Arsenal youngster again, but someone who was at West Brom, but didn't get a game, never got a game, and it's kind of showing now that he's playing that is why a team like West Brom was interested in him. He's very good. It's the desire to go forward. It's these young players that they're bringing through, and they're having trust in them. But mixing that with experience stuff, people like Jonas Lössl, keeper, who got back from Everton on loan. He was with us for 2 years. Just came back and knows the fan base, knows exactly what the fans expect, etc. So I mean, yeah, we are in a good place now. I wouldn't expect us to go down if the season restarted, or at least I hope not. Touch wood. I think I've been more looking forward to next season. I've been looking forward more to next season than anything, because I'm excited for what we'll do in the summer. I really am. As long as we can keep hold of the Cowleys, of course.
Who do you think you could sign in the summer? Anyone particular you're looking at, or?
I don't think there's anyone in particular. I don't think there's ever anyone in particular person that we're ever looking at. I know we used to always be linked with Kevin Phillips. I think it's a running joke within our club, every single transfer window. But I think we lose a lot of players at the end of the season just out of loans expiring, and some of the dead weight that we tried to get rid of in January anyway. The likes of Adama Diakabi, who went to Forest, who's not exactly set the world alight there, unfortunately, for the lad. Congolo, who went to Fulham, broke his foot, but I can't see these guys playing another game for us. So there's going to be a massive clear out, I think. And I'll be interested to see who we bring in, because I could never have guessed the type of players that we brought in the first place. So I'm not really bothered about kind of being linked with people, because you could be linked with Messi for all we care. But you don't matter how they are until they turn up and see how they play. if we sign a load of unknown people and they play excellently, I'm going to be happy about that. So I'm not so stressed about that. But it's been more interesting to see who we actually get rid of, and who maybe some of the loans that we can either reloan or turn into permanent signs. Like I'd like to see us maybe sign Chris Willock. I think he's got a lot of potential and could do a good 2 seasons with us before moving on to something higher, at least. I mean, again, depending on, not to be arrogant, but it'd be nice to have a push next season for at least playoffs, or at least try at least solidify, because it's been quite a traumatic 2 years being a Huddersfield Town fan. The relegation season and this season, it's not been exactly brilliant, So it'd just be interesting to see. I know exactly who I'd like to get rid of. Just for morale purposes, and I think there's a lot of, or there used to be anyway, bad eggs within the team. And that's what got found out in January. That's exactly what Danny Cowley wanted to do. So it'd be interesting to see who else goes permanently in the summer, which again, I can imagine half the loanies that we've got out will, and then who he brings in. I have every faith, because I think even the players that play now are playing for him. So I think whoever he brings in will play for him. He seems a very likable man.
So you think you need to get some goals into the team?
I think everybody wants goals in the team, don't they? But it's kind of where the goals coming from. Again, it's a damn shame the season's cut short, because you've got the likes of Steve Mounier, who was genuinely finding a bit of form. He has got a lot of talent, Steve Mounier. He had his first season with us in the Premier League, he did really well. It's the second season he didn't do so well. It took him a little while to get going this season because, well, he wasn't playing, to be quite honest, because a lot of it's been rested on Karlan Grant, who's been fantastic, don't get me wrong. But they've also brought in Fraser Campbell. And, he's trying to rotate between them. He's trying to find the perfect balance. And I get they have certain tactics for certain teams, which I understand, and, I think there's a lot of frustration within the fan base that Mounier can come on in a game and score. Next game, he still won't be starting. And I kind of get that. I get the frustration, because the lad deserves a run. I think he does. He's very good. But we have got goals within the team. I think it needs to be improved a little more from midfield. I mean, you've got the likes of Juninho Bacuna, who's scored a handful of goals this season. Has been very good. His progress has come on massively since he started with us, and I think he got given a lot more responsibility, and I think he's enjoyed that, and that's brought out the best side of him, which is a very incredibly good attacking player. He just needs to kind of get his thought processes right a bit better, because he will try to take on that extra man when he doesn't need to. I think bringing in Chris Willock, who's chipped in with a couple of goals and assists, has improved from the wings. The goals we score. I mean, technically, Karlan plays as a winger most of the time, so I class that as goals from the wing. But so we don't actually collectively do bad. I think everyone's dream is just to have a 20-goal a season striker, but the money that's involved in that just don't happen. You can't. And the attraction. I mean, you've got to bear in mind it's just a funny thing. I'd say Huddersfield's a very attractive club, but I would, I live here. But it's more, it's kind of getting that traction. He's saying, there's other decent Championship clubs around us, like Leeds, for example. If we were in for the same kind of player as Leeds, I'd expect us to lose out. I genuinely would, and but that's all because it's more of a small club mentality than anything else.
Do you think with?
But I think we need to do better at defending more than anything.
On Karlan Grant, do you think you can keep hold of him for next season and the season after? Obviously, he scored 16 goals this year. So
I'd like to see one more. I'd like to see one more season out of him, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he'll probably go in the summer. I believe he'll go to the Premier League.
Really?
He proved himself whilst he was there for the half a season that he was in there last season. When we signed him from Charlton, he knows where the goal is. He's industrious. I'd like to have him for another season, but I know Wolves and West Brom are both interested in him. So I think it's a case of how strong is our resolve and how much will Karlan want another season with us. You know, I get he's under contract, but I don't think contracts mean anything, unfortunately, in this day and age of football. You know, it's all down to your agents, and they can turn players against clubs quite easily. You know, but it's how strong is our resolve, how much would we need the money, and how would the money be reinvested, obviously. It'd be a loss. It would definitely be a loss, but it's not the first time we would have suffered such losses and not being able to recover from it. I just think it would be really. I think it's always the case. You always have a player that you really like to keep, but you just know that they're going to be on for bigger and better things. Again, like Aaron Moy, it'd be nice to keep him again for this season, but there was just no way we would have been able to. You know, he's much better than the league that he's currently in, and I generally think that Carlin Grant would do well in a full season in a decent, half decent mid-table Premier League side.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure.
Tell me why not. Tell me why not. Tell me why not. I think he'd do very well at a club like West Ham. I really do. He's got a very good ability. He's got pace. Well, I know they'll be looking to stay. I mean, they'll be desperate to kind of stay in for the season to end. I get that they're in a bit of strife, but he's got pace. He's got the intelligence, and he's got this ability to be in the right place in the box. I mean, again, if he scored every single one of his chances, it'd be worth hundreds of millions. But no one does he? You've got to be realistic. But he will score more chances than he misses. You know, don't get me wrong, he's missed chances. He misses some saves. You know, but I think every player does, and you've got to be realistic about it. But I do think he's a very good striker. He's a very intelligent striker. He's an intelligent striker who plays on the bloody wing more than anything. So you know, I do think he would do well. I mean, there's reasons why teams like Wolves, teams like like that are looking at him, because there's obviously a good player in there. You know, I'd like to say, my part-time job's working at the stadium. I look after the car park, so I know which scouts come in and who they're looking at. So we see the list of scouts that come into the club. It's very impressive some of the distances some clubs travel just to come watch little old Huddersfield.
You're a good man to know. I'll have you on the when I do the live stream for the transfer deadline day about James. Who have you spoke to?
Well, I'll be outside ground for you. It'd be interesting, to see who we bring in. We have recruited well recently, let's just say. So, given a full summer, I think they'd do even better.
Okay. Right. Well, it's brilliant to speak to you again. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no.
Effort. If you've got anything to say to the people watching in regards to the coronavirus outbreak and COVID-19, the floor is yours.
Just try stay sane. I think that's the best thing. Talk to people the best you can, even if it's your neighbours over a fence. Just try vary who you talk to. Not like me, who ends up talking to his cats for most of the day. But just try to do what you can. Get your exercise when you can. Just look after yourself. There's a lot going on outside that you can't control, so just control what you can control. And, look after yourselves. And like I said, if you want to donate as well, please do.
Appreciate it, James. Thanks, mate. Again, take care of yourself, and I'm sure I'll speak to you soon.
I'm sure we'll see you soon again. Our paths will cross. Cheers.